Shavua Tov, B'Shem Hashem Naseh v'Natzliach. First and foremost, we would like to dedicate today's class for Eretz Yisrael against the war with Iran. May they be successful. Second of all, I want to make this shiur also in memory of my aunt, Tamara Bat Burcho, and also for Meir Ben Rivka. May their neshama have an aliyah. Rabotai, today I'm going to speak about a sensitive topic. I haven't spoken for a while, but we have to understand, Rabotai, what is going on around the world is not just by happenstance. There's a reason why this is happening. A lot of us don't realize what it is. It says in the Torah, Hakol kol Yaakov yadam yadayim Esav. When Yaakov Avinu came to get the firstborn rights from his father Yitzchak Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu said, doesn't make sense. The voice is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are the hands of Esav. What does that mean for us? Now there's many ways you can learn it. What does it mean? Kol Yaakov yadam yadayim Esav. What does that mean? One way to understand it is that whenever we're learning Torah, which is the voice of Yaakov, because Yaakov was a man that sat and learned Torah. If we sit and learn Torah, once is the call of Yaakov when we're learning Torah, then the Yadayim Esav will have no control over us. Their hands cannot do anything. But Rabotai, when we minimize the learning the Torah, when there's no Kol Yaakov, when there's no voice of Yaakov, meaning there's no learning Torah, then the Yadayim Esav, they overpower us. You might be thinking to yourself right now, Rabbi, one second, it doesn't make sense, Rabbi. Baruch Hashem, people are learning Torah. Everybody's learning Torah. I did not say they are not. I'm not going to even get into the discussion how people are learning Torah. But what I do want to speak about, Rabotai, is when we're learning Torah, what we're doing in that time when we're learning Torah. Is it really Kol Yaakov? Or is it Yadayim Esav? Rabotai, is it we are on phones? Are we really paying attention to what the rabbi is saying? Are we just passing by time like a history book, thinking we're in college or in high school or anywhere else, in a movie theater, Rahman Aleinu, just to pass time, just to have a good time? How do we learn Torah, Rabotai? It's not enough that it's Kol Yaakov. I want to ask you, Rabotai, when you're learning Torah, how do you learn? Are your hands, Rabotai, busy with the phones, or is your hands busy on what you're learning, taking notes, highlighting, reviewing? I don't want to speak about that aspect right now. I want to try to speak about something else. Which, Rabotai Lolein, I don't know if it's a catastrophe, is it a sickness, is it I don't even know the proper word, but I had to use it. When we come to Shuls, Rabotai, when we say Hakol Kol Yaakov, another way to understand Kol, the voice of prayer. If we are able to pray properly, then the Yadayim Esav, they will not have any control over us. But what do we see today, Rabotai? What do we see today? In our Batei Kanisiot, in our Batei Midrashot, where there's praying done, where there's learning done. How many people do you have that have the audacity to come to these holy places and defame it, Rabotai? How many people you see like this today? Where's our call? We want to down to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, correct? During the repetition of the Shemona Esrei, people are speaking. The Torah is out, people are speaking. When it says, Kol Yaakov, when it says the voice is the voice of Yaakov and you're going to win, do you know when that is specifically applicable? When there's order in a synagogue. But if there's no order in the synagogue, Rabotai, if it's a zoo, everybody has a word to say. Everybody has to give his 2 cents. This one about the basketball game, this one about the football game, that one, who knows what he's speaking about? This one, what happened in the news. This one, the market crashed. Everybody comes to the synagogue, Rabotai, to tell other people their problems. Instead of opening up the Siddur, the Tehillim in that spare time and davening to Hashem to help us. Rabotai, wait, Rabotai, this is just the beginning. Wait, Rabotai, you're happy in your houses. Take it easy, Rabotai. This is just the beginning. War has started, Rabotai. This is not only there. It's going to go around the whole world. It's not a joke. And what do, Rabotai? We come to the Batei Kanisiot. We come to our synagogues. The way we come in, Rabotai, with no respect. We speak in shul. When the rabbi speaks, we speak. When we're davening, we speak. When there's Torah, we speak. Rabotai became a free for all. Come and do whatever you guys want, as long as you guys come. Rabotai, I don't want to be the one to say it, but I have to say it. I'm afraid, Rabotai, not every single shul is a shul anymore. I'm afraid to say, Rabotai, shuls have become businesses. As long as money's coming in. What's going on, Rabotai? Where's the Kavod Shamayim? Where's the honor for heaven? Where? I want to ask you guys a simple question. Lahavdal Elef Lahavdal, Rabotai, Chas v'Shalom if you guys do this. But let me ask you a very simple question. A silly question. You have a house or an apartment, doesn't matter where you live. You're watching news, I don't know, sports, a movie, I don't know, whatever you're watching. Lo Aleinu. You're watching. You have an intruder, somebody from the outside, comes inside your house while you're watching TV or whatever you know, who knows, God knows what you're doing, starts making noise, screaming, walking with the shoes everywhere, taking whatever he wants from the refrigerator. Tell me, that's going to bother you? Is that going to bother you, yes or no? That's going to bother you, correct? Well, one guy comes in, shows you no respect, that bothers you? Just because you're in the middle of a movie or who knows what? That's going to bother you? Rabotai, listen to this very carefully. How much more so? 1,000,000 times, Rabotai, when you have hundreds of Jews walking into a synagogue and there's no respect given for a synagogue, Rabotai, this one comes in with his problems, this one comes in with his problem, this one comes in with his stories. Everybody has to say something. You can't even hear what the rabbi is saying no more. Because he's more important, because he pays the bills of the shul. Nebuch, Rabotai, Nebuch. I said this before, I'll say it again, Rabotai. The world is an upside down world. People that, who knows what they do on a regular basis, who knows what they do, but they donate money, we put them in the front. Excuse me. You have Talmidei Chacham that they give their lives for Hashem. They sacrifice everything for Hashem. They don't need it. Believe me, they don't need it. Where do they put them all the way in the back? You don't even see them in the shul. Why? Because they're not the ones that are supporting the shul. What happened, Rabotai? What happened? How's it possible, Rabotai? How's it possible? There has to be, Rabotai, Kavod Torah. There needs to be, Rabotai, Kavod Shamayim. There has to be Kavod Batei Midrashot, Batei Kanisiyot. We need to give them the proper honor. Who gave us permission, Rabotai? Who gave us permission to walk into a synagogue and speak in a synagogue? You want to tell me who? The rabbi. Who gave you permission, Rabotai? I'm just looking for something. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find it. Rabotai, it's halacha in the Shulchan Aruch. In Simon Kuf Chavdal and Halacha Dal, Rabotai, famous halacha. I want to read for you something. You should share this with the rebbeim of your community. You know, I tried to say this one time, a while back. So the guy told me, you know, Rabbi, the rabbi in the shul also speaks. So what? The rabbi is God? Since when the rabbi became God? Well, what does that mean, the rabbi speaks? I don't care if the rabbi speaks. Who gave the rabbi the permission to speak? Siman Kuf Chav Dalet Halacha Zayin. Not Halacha Dalet, Halacha Zayin. Rabotai, listen what it says. Lo yasiach sichat cholim b'sha'a sheshaliach tzibur chozer v'atfilah. You're not allowed to speak mundane speech at the time when the shaliach tzibur is repeating the Shemona Esrei. V'im sach, and if you did speak, Rabotai, listen what the language of the Shulchan Aruch is. Hu choteh, he's a sinner. He's a sinner. What happened? Well, just for speaking alone. Vegadol avono minaso vegoarim bo. Rabotai, his sin is so great that he's not going to be able to hold or to be able to carry the punishment that's coming with it. Vegoarim bo, you have to rebuke such people. Rabotai is halach and Shulchan Aruch. Halach in the Shulchan Aruch. You have to know how to do it, but it's halach in the Shulchan Aruch. You see over here clearly, he says anybody who speaks during Chazar Toshat, what does the halacha say? He's a choteh, he's a sinner. Now, I want to share with you another halacha. In the laws of a Beit Knesset, I don't want people thinking, okay, so good, so during Chazar Tashatz, I'm not allowed to speak, but otherwise, other than that, I'm allowed to speak. No, you're not allowed to speak. 1 second. Let me just get it, please. Give me 1 moment. Here. Hilchot Beit HaKnesset, Siman Kuf Nun Gimel. Bet Kuf Nun. Okay, here. Siman Kuf Nun Aleph in Halacha Aleph. The halacha says, now Rabotai, this is not during davening. This is in general. In general speaking, Rabotai, this has nothing to do with davening. When you enter a Beit Knesset, when you enter a Beis Medrash, what is the difference between a study hall and a synagogue? Today, our study halls are our synagogues, because we daven in the same place and we learn Torah in the same place. So comes the Shulchan Aruch in Halacha Aleph and Siman Kuf Nun Aleph. That's 151 Halacha Aleph. He says like this: Batei Kanisiyot ubatei midrashot, the synagogues and the study halls, ein nohagin bahem kalut rosh. You're not allowed to behave in them in a light-headed way. Rabotai, I don't think we understand what I just read. You're not allowed to behave in them in a light-headed way. Do you understand? The moment you walk into a synagogue or a study hall, do you know that you are not allowed to take your mind off the sanctity of the synagogue or the study hall? Do you understand that when you're walking into a synagogue, you are walking into Hashem's house? When you're walking into Hashem's house, you better be on your best behavior. Not on your phone, Rabotai. That's Kalat Rosh. That's being lightheaded. Not watching things on your phone, Lo Leinu. Not speaking nonsense. Rabotai, you have to be able to behave in a proper way. Just like you wouldn't like it when somebody walks into your house and behaves in a disgusting way, so too Hashem doesn't want you walking into His house and behaving in a disgusting way. And that's what we do. And that's what we do, Rabotai. And that's why, Rabotai, you can tell me all you want, Rabbi. We daven, we say Tehillim. We learn Torah over there. There's the Kol Yaakov. Yeah, Rabotai. Which call overpowers which call? The call of Torah overpowers the call of Shtuyot, or the call of Shtuyot overpowers the call of Torah? Do you know that if you enter into a synagogue where they're speaking, I don't want to open up the book right now. I saw a beautiful piece, Rabotai, on the laws of the synagogue. If you walk into a shul where they speak, do you know your prayers are not accepted? Do you know Hashem is not there? So what are we doing, Rabotai? Why? I want to understand, why are we coming to synagogues? For what? For what, Rabotai? What's the purpose? To socialize. Why do we come to shul, Rabotai? Or to daven? I want to understand, why do we come to shul? If it's to daven to Hashem because you need something from Hashem, come daven, get out and leave. Do all your garbage outside, but not in the shul. How many people you see inside the shul, Rabotai, they're taking care of their problems. In Rabotai, the Arna Kodesh, like here, Rabotai, they're watching reels, YouTube shorts, talking nonsense. Come on, Rabotai, how much can this continue already? And nobody says anything, Rabotai. He says, Kigon Tzchok. What does it mean? What does it mean, Kalat Rosh? What does it mean, lightheadedness? The Shulchan Aruch says, Kigon Tzchok, for example, laughter, vihitul jokes. V'sicha, Rabotai, listen to this. V'sicha betela. Rabotai, speaking idle chatter. If you're not speaking about Torah or something that's important, organization, to help somebody, to do something, to collect money for someone, to help the community grow. Rabotai, if you're not speaking about that, you have no permission to speak in a synagogue, period. He continues, he says, you're not allowed to eat, you're not allowed to drink there. Rabotai, I'm not going to get through all the laws right now, but I want to show you the next one. You're not allowed to adorn yourself over there. Rabotai, when a person comes to shul, the shul is not your house. The shul is done where you come to pray to Hashem. It's done where you come to learn Torah, to grow, Rabotai. That is your life source, to give you, Rabotai, to infuse you with Kiddusha. But Rabotai, how can you walk into a shul with the Tumah, which is our telephone today, during davening, during the Sefer Torah on our phones, or even if it's not Shabbat, we're just speaking, chatting, who knows what we're doing? Rabotai, where's the Kiddusha? Where's the Kiddusha, Rabotai? There's no Kiddusha. There's no Kiddusha. So how are you going to be infused? You're not. You're not going to be infused. It's impossible. He says you're not allowed to adorn yourself. Sometimes, Rabotai, you have people, they come to synagogue, and if the synagogue has mirrors, they fix their hair, their tie, making sure that they look good. That you're not allowed to do in the synagogue. It's not your house. You want to do it, go to your mother's house. Don't do it in the synagogue. You're not even allowed to take a stroll inside the synagogue. Walk around. Wow, this nice place. Wow, this nice place. Wow. You cannot do that. That's a surah, Rabotai. You got to say Perik of Tehillim. Maybe you have to say Asher Yoshri. Sit down, learn something. You can't just walk into the synagogue just like that. And then he continues and he says, you're not allowed to enter them if it's hot outside. You can't enter because of the heat. You can't enter because of the rain, and so on and so forth. Rabotai, this is not a halachic class. What I did want to bring down was, we need to understand that this halacha in Siman Kuf Chav Daled, in halacha Zayin, where it says that you are a sinner, that is specifically when you're speaking during Chazar Tashat. But this, Rabotai, in Siman Kuf Nun Aleph, in halacha Aleph, that speaks about speaking in general, it's even not during the time of prayer. The second you walk into the shul, you have no permission to have a light-headed head. You're not allowed to, Rabotai. Ha, he, jokes. Who gave you permission, Rabotai? That's why alcohol in shuls is a very big problem. When people get alcohol, when people drink alcohol, they become tipsy. People drink alcohol, they're no longer themselves. You know, I was one time in a certain yeshiva, even before I got married. It was Rabbi Bachrach's yeshiva. I think it's called Or Yisrael. My brother-in-law used to go there. And they had over there Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah, Rabotai. The Rosh Yeshiva said over there, no alcohol. No alcohol. No alcohol. So they asked the Rosh Yeshiva, why? Why can't you have alcohol? He says, because I want you guys to dance. I want you guys to dance with the Sefer Torah. I don't want the alcohol dancing with the Sefer Torah. But what do we see today, Rabotai? Simchat Torah, everything alcohol. How are we ever going to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? How are we ever going to connect if we have outside things making us happy? How are we ever going to connect? We inside, how are we going to be able to connect to Hashem? Who gave us permission, Rabotai, in general, to bichlal drink alcohol? Do you know how alcohol is bad for you? Or anything else for that fact? Rabotai, I want to share with you a Dvar Torah from the Rav Chaim Igal. And I want to try to connect it to what's going on. But the Rav Chaim Igal is going to go on something else. He's going to want to speak about Lishmor al Kavod Azulat. To guard somebody else's honor. Not to shame another Jew. Not to wrong another Jew. We're going to see this, Rabotai. He's going to bring proof. But before we get there, I want to share with you something very powerful. It says in Parshat Shemot, in Perek Lamed Bet, Pasuk Aleph, Vayikahel ha'am al Aharon. And the nation, they gathered on Aharon, meaning they came to Aharon, Vayemru elav, and they said to him, Kum aselanu Elohim, asher yeluchu lefanenu. Get up, make for us a God that's going to walk before us. I don't know how many people are aware of what happened during that time when they came to Aharon. When they told him, make us the golden calf. He says over here, Hachmenu zichronam levracha amru. Our rabbis of blessed memory said, Shebesha'a shebikshu ha'am lasot egel masecha. When the nation wanted to go ahead and do the egel, to make this golden calf, they wanted to have a god. Amad Chur, Banashal Miriam, Chur, who was the son of Miriam, got up. Listen to how sad this is, Rabotai. Listen to what I'm about to read next. He was against the act of the egel. He stood up for Hashem's honor. He said, I'm not allowing you guys to go against Hashem. Ad shekamu kenegdo anshei Bilial. until Rabotai, Anshe Bilial got up against him. It's wicked people, Rabotai. Amongst us, Rabotai, in the time when we were coming out, Rabotai, there were wicked people amongst us. They get up against him. V'hargu nefesh, and they killed him. Before I continue, as I was learning this piece, I said to myself, something very strange has happened over here. What did Chur want to do? What did Chur want to do? He stood up for Hashem's honor. What happened? Says over here, the people, the wicked people from the nation got up and they killed him. They killed him. Wow. They killed him. 1 second. I wanna try to understand this correctly, Rabotai. He tried to go out and try to tell them that this is wrong. He stood up for the Emet. They killed him, Rabotai. That's it. Tell me, you know how many Jews were there? You have any idea how many Jews were there? What do you think? Everybody wanted to do the golden calf? No, you had some people, maybe you had the majority, right? Maybe you had, but not everybody, Rabotai. Aaron Cohen didn't want to do it. You had other people. The women didn't want to do it because they were not so quick in giving the gold. You had people that didn't want to do it. Not everybody wanted to do it. Rabotai, when I look at this Chazal, I ask myself one question. How could it be? You have one guy stands up for the Emet. Rabotai, the least you can do, try to hear him out. Maybe he has a point. Rabotai, was only 6 hour difference before Moshe Rabbeinu was going to come down. Maybe listen to him. They got up and they killed him. Come on, Rabotai. But that's what's bothering me. You know what's bothering me? Hundreds of thousands of Jews saw this happening. What do you think? They just got up and in 1 second they shot him with a gun. What do you think? They had a gun back then? No, it took time to kill him, no? So tell me, you see that the wicked people are doing something wrong, correct? Tell me, the people, he says they were the wicked people. Tell me, the righteous people, the good Jewish people that were there, why nobody stood up for a Chur? Why didn't anybody stand up for Chur? Rabotai, why didn't anybody stand up for Chur? Can somebody answer that? Just ask yourself, why didn't anybody stand up for Chur? You can tell me they were afraid, maybe they were not ready, maybe they thought they're not able to do it. I don't care what you're going to say. Makes no difference. Do you know why? Because the truth is, Rabotai, people are afraid to stand up for what's right. And that's the problem. We're not going to stand up for what's right. We're going to go with the sheep. We're going to go with the current. We're going to go with the flow. But if something is right, we're not going to go with it. If you have one person that gets up and says this is wrong, instead of people backing him up, people attack him. Not something new, Rabotai, it's in the Torah. Nothing new under the sun. Listen to this very carefully. When Chur said he was against of the making of the Egel, the wicked people got up and they killed him, correct? Rabotai, I'm about to enlighten you with a powerful Chiddush. Do you know whenever you want to do something right, there's always that somebody or those somebody, they're gonna want to go out and try to put out that fire in you. The naysayers, like we call it. But even stronger, Rabotai. How many times do you try to do the right thing and there's nobody that gets up and backs you up? How many times have you tried to go to kosher events? How many times you try not to do what's against Hashem? Not to go to the beach, not to go to the pool, not to go to mixed parties. How many people have supported you? Maybe none. Maybe some. Rabotai, listen to this very carefully. I'm about to share with you something very powerful. When you have a person that is able to go against somebody that is trying to do the right thing, you should know that person is a Rasha inside. He might look religious on the outside, peyot, beard, hat, but inside he's a Rasha. He's rebellious. He goes against Hashem and Torah. Why? Because when you tell him you're not allowed to go to the beach or the movies or the big party or you can't even speak in shul, what do they do, Rabota? Instead of listening to you, come on, what do you mean? Why, come on, what? Why, you opened up a book? What? Tell me what? Explain what? Because he has ta'avot, Rabotai. Inside he's rebellious, Anshe Bil'al. Inside he's wicked. Outside he's a tzaddik. The outside does not match the inside. It bothers him what you're saying. He can't take it. Instead of calming himself down, saying, 1 second, maybe he's right. Maybe he's saying something good. Let me listen. Who says it's mutar? Let me learn my halachot. No, Rabotai, we don't do that. We attack. Somebody told me a story. I don't know if I could say his name. He'd probably get upset. He's probably going to get upset, so I'm not going to say his name. Somebody told me he was in a very chashuv shul, whatever you want to call it. Chashuv, not chashuv, important shul. Chashuv means important shul. So give me 1 second, I'm just trying to find, where is this? Okay, doesn't matter. Okay. He was in a chashuv shul, and the people over there were speaking. Rabotai, I don't know what's worse, a zoo or that shul. Hey, it was bad. It was, sometimes you couldn't even enter Yehi Shmei Rabbah properly because people next to you are speaking. Like, it was very, very bad. Listen to this, Rabotai. So this person, he's an elderly gentleman, at least maybe 60 plus, at least. He doesn't look 60, but at least he's 60 plus. He told me, he says, Rabbi, when we went to the rabbi, when we wanted to make a change in the community, in the synagogue, to make it quiet, he said, you know what the rabbi told us? If you don't like it, make your own synagogue, make your own minyan. Rabotai, this is a rabbi. This is Rabbi Benjamin Franklin, that's what it is. As long as he's getting paid. What about the Jewish neshamas that are getting destroyed because people are speaking shul? All the affairs that they're doing. That doesn't bother you? I went one time to a shul. Hashem Yirachem. Hashem Yirachem. Whatever it was, I had to be there. I had to be in the shul. Not in the party. I didn't know there was a party downstairs. So, nothing new by me. Somebody tells me, Rabbi, there's mixed dancing downstairs. Can you go stop it? I don't even know who they are. I don't even know what's going on. I haven't even been downstairs in the basement. That's where they make their events, right? They build synagogues today for the events so they can make money. Rabotai, our priorities are upside down. I tell you that now it's upside down. Instead of investing in our children and Torah, we invest in everything else but that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We feel we gave a few dollars here, everybody's going to be fine. Anyway. So as I was there, so the guy comes up to me and says, Rabbi, there's mixed dancing downstairs. So I said, I'm not a rabbi. What am I? I don't even know the people. Okay, if I know somebody, I can speak. But what am I supposed to do and how you want me to walk in there? People are going to think I came to the event. I look at the rabbi that was in the shul, because I came for him. I said, you're not going to do anything about it? That's your shul. You know the people. You're the one who allows it downstairs. I said, what? What's this? What are you raising your hand? What am I supposed to do? You're supposed to go down and stop it. How do you allow such events to take place in your shul? You're the rabbi, you'll be responsible for every sin that's going on down there. It's a clear Gemara, it's a clear halach and Shulchan Aruch, but it's not from top of my head right now. He didn't do it. He didn't go downstairs. The rabbi said, listen, I want to keep my job and I don't want to lose nothing. Okay. So keep your job. We'll see after all these years where his place is going to be. In Gan Eden or in Gehenna with everybody else that he allowed to go downstairs. Whatever, doesn't matter about time. The point being is, why is it that when we have people that get up for the emet, why don't we have other people giving them that backing that they need in order to be able to continue? What's wrong, Rabotai? A couple comes to me, poor husband. Honestly, I feel bad for these guys. Today, the guys, I don't know, maybe they should start wearing skirts and the woman should start wearing pants, or maybe they're already wearing pants. Honestly, I just feel so bad for them. The guy comes to me and he says, Rabbi, I don't know what to do. My wife wants to go to the beach. My wife wants to go to the pool. My wife wants to go to the movie theaters. My wife wants to go to these parties. My wife wants to go clubbing. My wife wants to go here. It's all this is asur. You're not allowed to do it. Now listen to this, Rabotai. Here the husband, the poor guy, he's trying to do what's right. Here you have the wife giving him ultimatums. The mother-in-law giving him ultimatum. What's this, Rabotai? Are you guys for real? Or the other way around, Rabotai could be. I never had a situation the other way around. But it could also be the other way around. I'm not picking any agenda. I'm just trying to tell you what happens. Instead of the wife coming and saying, 1 second, maybe my husband is saying something, maybe he's saying something good. Maybe it's not for us. Maybe it's not for us. Maybe the children are going to go in that way. Okay, I'm having a good time now. Tomorrow I'm going to be 89 years old with the cane in my hand. Who's I'm going to be able to dance? And what are my daughters going to do? What are my children going to do? What are my boys going to do? Maybe it's really not for us. Why, Rabotai, don't we have people with some seichel, with some brain, Rabotai, just stop and think, is this something that Hashem wants me to do? Forget about what your husband says. Forget about what people... But whatever he just said right now, is this something that's written in the Torah? Is it brought down in the Shulchan Aruch? Did our rabbis teach us about this? Yes or no? Start like that. First find it. Is it written in the Shulchan Aruch? If yes, what are you arguing with him for? He's not the one who made up the laws. If it was up to him, he'd probably go and party with you all day right now. What do you think? He wants to sit home and look at the wall. He wants also to have a good time. But he can't because Hashem said you're not allowed to do so. Rabotai, we need to understand that unfortunately, Rabotai, people love to live a double life. They want to have this life and that life. They want to be, they want to, do everything against Hashem, but at the same time, they want to do for Hashem. They'll learn Torah, they'll daven, they'll do mitzvot, but at the same time, they're going to go to a place where they're not supposed to do. That they're not supposed to be. They're going to do things that they're not supposed to do. They want to have the best of both worlds. Rabotai, that's a problem, Rabotai. We have to stop living a double life and we have to start living, Rabotai, a life for Hashem. If we're not going to start living a life for Hashem, I don't want to break it to you, Rabotai. You're wasting your time. If you're doing anything other than serving Hashem, I'm telling you right now, you are wasting your time. You could take these words to the bank. If it's not in the direction of Avodat Hashem, you should know it's in the direction of Avodah Zarah. I said this one time, that if you're not serving God, you're serving... I didn't say in English, because in English, it doesn't sound so good. In English, it sounds... Avodah Zarah means you're serving idols, but that's not what it means. Avodah Zarah does not mean you're serving idols. That's not the definition. In English, it doesn't come out well. In Hebrew, it comes out beautiful. If you're not doing Avodat Hashem, you're doing Avodah Zarah. So the person's like, how can I be Avodah Zarah? What do you mean Avodah Zarah? You don't see how religious I am? How can I be Avodah? Why take it? Why you get defensive? Let me explain. Rabotai, what does it mean Avodat Hashem? Can somebody explain? Avodat Hashem, the service of Hashem. You're serving Hashem. Your whole focus is Hashem, 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 Hashem. I love you. Thank you. Only you, Hashem, exists in my life. Everything about Hashem. What's Avodah Zarah? Can you tell me? Avodah literally again means the service of. Zarah is a strange. You're serving something strange. Doesn't have to be an idol. Doesn't have to be an idol per se. When you're watching TV, that's a form of Avodah Zarah. When you're getting angry, that's a form of Avodah Zarah. Because right now you're not serving God, you're serving the anger. You're serving TV. When you have a lust for money, you're Avodah. You're not doing Avodah Hashem, you're doing Avodah Zarah. You're doing a different service, which is what? Money. So you're serving money. That's why people fight over money. That's Rabotai under the care of avodas. It doesn't have to be an idol per se. It doesn't have to be a cow. Rabotai, tzivio. When you're not serving Hashem and you're serving something else other than the Hashem, that's called avodah zara. You have to ask yourself, am I doing avodat Hashem or am I doing avodat zara? And this is the problem, Rabotai. Al Aravas, we don't serve Hashem. We're serving other things but Hashem. We think we're serving Hashem, but we're not. And I'll explain. When you walk into a shul, you have an obligation to give it the proper respect. And you don't give it the proper respect. Tell me, who are you serving right now? Are you serving Hashem? Or you're serving that other side? You want to call it the evil inclination, the I don't care. The malach hamav, I don't care what you want to call it. When you're speaking in shul, are you doing avodat Hashem, where the halakha says you're not allowed to speak? Or are you doing avodah zara? What are you doing? Go ahead, answer about that. What are you doing? Avodah zara. What do you think you're doing? Avodah zara. When you go to a mixed party, beach, pool, when you curse, when you speak lashon hara, all these things, Rabotai, are you serving Hashem or you're serving something other? Avodah zara means something strange, something other than Hashem. Rabotai, look at Hur. Look what happened. He tried to get up, tried to defend Hashem's honor. Nobody stood on his behalf. Nobody. Came Maran Ha'or Chaim HaKodesh, and he asked a question. If it's true that they killed Hur on the day that they made the Egel HaZahav, the golden calf, if so, מדוע לא נכתב הדבר במפורש בתורה הקדושה? Why wasn't it written in the Holy Torah openly? This that we know, this Rabotai that we know regarding the Egel HaZahav and Hur, that they killed him, Rabotai, it's not openly written in the Torah. Why not? Let me ask you a question. Pinchas, he killed Zimri? We have a special parsha for Pinchas. Hur died al Kiddush Hashem. He tried to stand up for Hashem. There's no parsha for Hur, no parsha. He's not even mentioned in the Torah, Rabotai. There's no hint in the Torah that it says that Hur was killed because of what he tried to stand up for Hashem. It's not written. He says, אם אכן הרגו את חור ביום שעשו בו את העגל, הזהב, אם כן מדוע לא נכתב הדבר במפורש בתורה? Why wasn't it written openly in the Torah that this is what Hur did? Why not? So Rabotai, this is what we actually started the class with, to show you how careful you have to be with the honor of another Jew. He says, V'atam, the Rav Chaim Igal says, the reason being is, Shelo nirmaz b'Torah harigat Hur. The reason why it's not hinted in the Torah, the killing of Hur, Kidei shelo yishaer rishumo nikar b'Torah ledorot olam. In order, Rabotai, for this not to last for generations to come, because the Torah is for generations, for all generations. But if you would have written the story of Hur in the Torah, imagine every single year reading what the Jewish people did to Hur. What would you think about the Jewish people? What kind of people are they? Well, how do you go kill a person that wants to do the right thing? So what does Hashem say? V'Hashem chas al kavod am b'nei. So Hashem was concerned of the honor of the Jewish people. He didn't want to shame the Jewish people. He didn't want to embarrass the Jewish people. So therefore he didn't write the story in the... what Hur did was something very unbelievable. He, Rabotai, stood up for the honor of Hashem. But Hashem said, as great as that is, I should have given you your own parsha. I should have written you in the Torah. But by me writing you in the Torah, I'm going to have to come and I'm going to have to shame those people that eventually killed you. The people, the Bnei Yisrael, the wicked Bnei Yisrael that killed you. But who's going to make that difference? Wicked, not wicked. Because the Jewish people, nobody stood up, nobody got up, nobody did anything. Oh, our own Jewish people killed our own men. How's that possible, Rabotai? So it comes to Rav Chaim Igal says, in order to save the face of the Jewish people, imagine, Rabotai, I'm talking about us, the Jewish people, but imagine non-Jews, what are they going to say? Jewish people killing their own people, come on. But in order, Rabotai, to save face, in order not to embarrass the Jewish people for generations to come, Hashem didn't write it in the Torah. Continues the Rav Chaim Igal and he says, "Umikan lekach nifla ve'atzum." From here you take a great lesson. Ad kama tzrichim anu lahastir et kolnam shel acherim ulechafot alav. Rabotai, how much we need to take Rabotai, Rabotai, at kama, Rabotai, until how much we need to hide the shame of other people and to cover it. How much more so he says it's our obligation not to go ahead and speak about other people's shame and disgrace and to publicize it. If I stop over here, Rabotai, it's enough. Today, Rabotai, unfortunately, we are losing face. We're losing the derech eretz. I don't know if it's unfortunate, if it's fortunate. I deal with a lot of couples. Rabotai, I don't know if today's women have any mercy on their husbands. Honestly, maybe not all. There are exceptions. But take it easy. Just take it easy. They could sit over here. Wow. He doesn't do that. If the guy had an opportunity to take a shovel and bury himself alive, he would. He would, Rabotai. Why wouldn't he? Come on. In front of the father, in front of the in-laws, in front of his friends, in front of people. That's how you speak to your husband. That's how you speak to your husband. The other way around also, Rabotai. If you have men that embarrass their wives, it's not allowed. Not the wives embarrassing the men, not the men embarrassing their wives, not allowed. Not the parents embarrassing their children, not allowed. All these things are not allowed. Comes Rav Chaim Igal and he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu erased. He didn't put it in the Torah, the story of Hur, not to shame the Jewish people for generations to come. How careful we have to be not to shame other people. And if Chas v'Shalom something happened where they were ashamed, we have to try to cover up for them. Try to save their face. Why, we have that today? No, we don't. Today everything's publicized, Rabotai. Everything is publicized. Everybody's making some form of content or another. Embarrassing another person. It's all about making fun of other people. That's what it became, Rabotai. Life became a joke. At other people's expenses, we're having a good time. That's, Rabotai, the sickness of the world. He continues over here with the story. He says there was a story that was a very prominent person, very important person. You know, at one point, he was very wealthy, well off to do. But you know how, Rabotai, how it goes, Rabotai. It's a wheel of life. One day you're here, one day you're down. And he lost everything. Everything. He had a group of friends that said, listen, we can't let him go down like this. What's going to be? What's going to be with his wife, with his children, with the mortgage? Listen, we got to try to help him as much as we can until he gets back on his feet. It's not forever. He'll get back on his feet. So they decided to go ahead and they decided to collect money for a few months to allow him to live until he gets back on his feet. He says over here, when they came to one of his good friends, one of somebody that, you know, this guy that went broke, they came to one of his good friends. And they told him like this, that, listen, we're trying to, and this guy was, his friend was very rich. Very, very rich. And they knew that he can solve all his problems. So when they came to ask him for kesef, for money, he said to them, I want to know, who am I giving the money for? He's going to give the money, but he wanted to know who. But here's the problem, Rabotai. He's a friend of his. Right? They're acquaintances. So now here's the problem. If he is going to find out it's him, it can embarrass him. Is it better to tell the guy that it's his friend, it's his own best friend that went down, but in a way that's going to embarrass him, but he's going to get the money? Or he should give the money without knowing to who he's giving in order to save his face? This is where the question came up, Rabotai, to Rav Chaim Igal. He said, I'm not going to give even 1 cent if you're not going to tell me who I'm giving it to. Rabotai, they had no choice, but they turned to Rav Chaim Igal. And they asked, what do we do? This guy needs the money, but he's not giving unless we say who he is. But I know that if we're going to give, he's going to say, I know my friend, he's not like me. He's going to look down at him. What do I do? Rabotai, I'm going to read it for you in Hebrew. Rav Chaim Igal answered them like this. En shum davar be'olam shematir ligrom busha liyehudi. There's nothing in the world that permits you to cause shame to another Jew. En lechem shum heter legalot et shemo. You have no permission to reveal his name. He doesn't want to give, let him not give. But you can't embarrass another Jew, Rabotai. Where do we have this today, Rabotai? Where? What happened, Rabotai? What happened to saving other people's faces? Why are we always looking to bring people down? Exposing them left and right. We think it's fine, Rabotai. Do you know that this content that goes up is going to stay for generations? I don't care if you do teshuvah tomorrow. If you don't take that content off, you will be judged for every single time somebody looks at it and it embarrasses the other person. Use your seichel, Rabotai. The Torah, the comes to Rav Chaim Igal and it says the Torah did not write the story of Chur opening the Torah because they didn't want, Hashem didn't want to embarrass the Jewish people. He was concerned for the honor, even though they were wicked. Comes Rav Chaim Igal and says, how much more so we have to be careful with another Jew's face, not to shame him, chas v'shalom. Rabotai, this is a very important life lesson. Husbands, wives, children, teachers, employers, doesn't matter who you are. We have no right to embarrass another Jew. Nothing is going to allow you to ever embarrass another Jew, Rabotai. Nothing. You want to help another Jew, but don't embarrass another Jew, Rabotai. Don't embarrass another Jew. Can you imagine, Rabotai, if you are able to go ahead out of your way and to try to cover their wrongdoing? I'm not saying that it's okay to do wrongdoing. Cover their wrongdoing. Help them to teshuvah. Bring them back to Hashem. But cover their wrongdoing, Rabotai. Can you imagine if you're going to cover their wrongdoing? There's a concept. It's called measure for measure. If you're going to be able to cover the wrongdoing of others, Hashem is going to cover your wrongdoing, Rabotai. We're not perfect. We also have a lot of mistakes. But can you imagine if Hashem is concerned for another Jew, how much more so He's going to be concerned for you when you're concerned for somebody else? May we be zoiche to be from those people that stand up for the emet and never back down, even if no one is backing us. Have a great day.